Hey guys, it's RobJ here, and in today's video I'm going to be moving my meat ants into a new enclosure, for two reasons mainly. They've outgrown their current test tube setup, as you can see here, and as they've grown in numbers they've become more territorial and brazen, and they've figured out that they can actually get out past the PTFE when they team up. So this nest is certainly not going to be cutting the mustard anymore. So the nest I've selected is the small module nest by High-Tech Ants. I'm going to couple that with their temperature gauge, and I'm going to use the feet, the riser feet, so we can get a heat cable underneath, and I'm going to pair that up to their small outworld. This gives them about 3 times the nesting room, which is not too much because of the way how fast they grow in numbers, so that's not too much of a jump up for them. And the outworld, that's much better for them, especially when I get to watch their hunting behaviour, which is quite remarkable. So I had this plan in my head of to move them out of the test tube. I'd slowly work the test tube off the lock and then put a cotton bud in, but it didn't go to plan. Out of nowhere, it just disconnected itself. Ants covered me. I had to just drop the plan and get the test tube in. So let's see if you can tell me when it all went wrong. So yeah, pop it in the comments if you worked out when the test tube just disconnected with no warning and covered me in meat ants. Now, I didn't lose any ants, but I was covered in them, but never got a single bite. And obviously they were agitated. So look at this hunting behaviour here. I've dropped a few flies in here. Now one worker has caught a fly. Now when he takes that fly in, it's going to get them to all come out hunting. It's a really remarkable response. Now the idea I did this was I wanted them to start looking in all the nooks and crannies for flies, and by accident discover the nest. So watch this. He's took the fly in, and just give it a few seconds for the message to spread that there are flies, or food should I say. Look at the response in the nest. It's going mad. The hunting party is moving out. Everybody knows there is food around, and they start flooding out of the nest. So my plan actually did work. They discovered the nest, but carried on hunting at the time. Later on, they backtraced their steps, and it did speed up the move considerably. So let's just take a closer look inside the test tube. So you can see all the brood in there. They definitely were running out of space. I mean, it got so bad that they were actually sort of having to nest in the L junction, which was like the tube that led up to the outworld, so the test tube no longer contained them fully. But it certainly did the job for the time being, because when I got her, she had no workers. She got her first worker. Sadly, it was a little bit deformed, especially his gaster wasn't even there really, and sadly died. But luckily, her next 3 workers were strong, and every worker after that, the production cycle and the speed of them growing tripled really, and then they've just filled out this in a matter of months. So I think the small high-tech ants nest is a good start. It's not too much space to give them because how fast they're going to fill it, and I have a medium that I can connect the small to. So I chose this setup because I also had the next size up. So it wasn't long before a worker ant returned from the nest and discovered that it was pretty suitable. And then it was a flood. There wasn't much decision making time involved. It pretty much went back to the nest, and next thing you know the move was on pretty much instantaneously. Now the queen and most of the brood were moved out of the test tube to a corner. So I took this opportunity to tap the remaining ants out of the test tube and just get that out altogether, seeming the most important person had left, and all the smaller eggs that I wouldn't be able to get out myself had been moved by the ants, and it seized my opportunity. Now the queen sort of just looked lost. She wasn't sure that the move was on, but the ants were well and truly sure. But eventually she did go for it, and luckily I was on hand. This did actually take a few hours, so I've had to cut through the 2 hours segment just to get you the shots in a reasonable time frame. And that was her discovering all her brood and her eggs and larvae since they were took off her in the first place. Now, during the recording I came back and noticed something funny, and let's see if you notice it, and then I'll do a slow-mo replay. So has anybody noticed something funny happen with the queen? Well, let's take a slow-mo closer look. So there you go. You see the droplet come out of the queen's gaster, and then the two workers try and contain it, and then they fail, and it goes on the floor. Now I came back, and it was like this now, and I was like, where did that come from? So I went scanned through the footage and saw where it came from, and I was like, ah. Now I'm really excited on where this colony will end up. A mature nest, several years of age, can actually hold up to 11,000 to 64,000 ants, and there's even been estimates that they can get up to 300,000, but even more than that, some nests have actually been found to contain even more. So I'm really excited to see where a colony in captivity can get to. And this is their first size up of many more to come. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, moving them in. I have some more videos coming up very soon, so I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time. If you did enjoy the video, why don't you give me a like, as I really appreciated it and it helps me know that you enjoyed the video. Thanks a lot guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.